90.3 WHPC now presents Law You Should Know. The law affects every aspect of our lives, our home, our jobs, and our recreational activities. Now, learn about the law and how to protect yourself against the loss of your liberty or property, and learn how to stand up for your rights and seek compensation when you have been wronged. Your host for Law You Should Know is attorney Kenneth J. Landau, a past dean of the Nassau Academy of Law, and frequently lectures to lawyers on ethics and avoiding problems with clients, and to the public on how to choose and use lawyers. This is Law You Should Know on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC.
Hi, this is Ken Landau, and welcome to Law You Should Know. Today we're going to be talking about journaling for lawyers and others, how it's a powerful tool to keep track of your achievements and your goals and what happens to you in the course of a day, good and bad. And my special guest is Sharon Wallen. She's a National Board Certified teacher, and she's also the author of the Grateful Reflections Journal. Sharon, welcome to Law You Should Know.
Ken, this is my pleasure to be here with you and your guests, your audience, and a pleasure meeting you at the National Publicity Summit recently.
Okay, thank you. And I everyone's going through tough times at work and in life as we recover from, COVID or hopefully emerge from COVID. Just start out on what prompted you to get involved in the field of journaling and author a book about it.
Throughout my career, yes. I write and I journal daily. It's a great organizer for me, and also stress management, stress relief, and definitely reduces anxiety. So during 2020, when we were hearing all that news and all of us going through the trauma of that global pandemic, I kept hearing about stress, and especially with the American Psychological Association work, and about stress, mental health crisis because of stress. And then I thought, journaling changes anybody's life. It changes, it reduces anxiety, it releases, and it's an answer to life. Oprah encourages that. She started journaling when she was 15 years old. And then journaling was an answer. And my journal, Grateful Reflections Journal, is not only a place where you write, but because we heard of that distress out of 2020 and even now, then it has habits that empowers the writer to get a handle on their day and just have that win-win situation at life. That's really
so how does journaling help to create a win-win situation?
Especially with your audience and lawyers, and they have their cases and they want to win. So that's why I especially wrote this win-win. But Stephen Covey, one of his strategies, when he talks about the habits of highly effective people, and he says you don't want a lose-win or a win-lose, you want a win-win. And so with this Grateful Reflections Journal, this one allows the writer to unleash, to express whatever they're experiencing. And journaling reduces anxiety, increases just gratitude. So to make it win-win, Ken, the strategies in this one, it's a guided journal. So it allows the writer, it asks questions on what was your inspiration this morning? So they're waking up and it's really asking them, what inspired you this morning? It could be, the voice of my loved one. It could be, I heard the birds singing. It could be my pet. It could be, I have a home. Whatever was that inspiration. So they're able to record that. There's also goal setting, small little goal. What's your goal for today? And then it also has space for what are some steps to achieve that. And what research shows, Ken, when you have a goal, it's one thing to have it in your mind, but when you write it down, it says that the majority of the persons who write it, because it's written, that it leads to productivity and the person achieves that goal.
So as a lawyer has a legal project to work on, let's say they're preparing a brief or they're preparing for a big trial or a marketing presentation, if they journal about their ideas, put down their ideas, things they especially like, some insight they received, some of the concerns they have about it, it will help them release those concerns and modify and improve upon their product and set up a plan for accomplishing it?
That's an excellent question, and that's exactly what happens, especially in my work, because it's not only just writing down, it coaches the writer on what are you grateful for today. And gratitude increases happiness. And so for that question you just asked, at the end of it, because there's an AM reflection and a little PM, just overall for my day, all in all, what did I notice? And then it ends with, what's my summary word for today? So that lawyer who is writing and planning something in a brief or something that's in the mind, it's on paper. He or she, that they're working it through, they can see it. And what I have already written completed two works of these. So it's 105 days in each. So I've done over 210 days of this work. And what I notice a pattern is also after every 21 days, there is some reflection. So they get to look back and see what patterns they saw. And then they project, what do I want them to achieve for the next 21 days? So this is great for an organizer, for those professionals, the lawyers with their cognitive skills, and all that academia that they really work on. This hones in on that. I don't know if this is a good time to share, just even recently with the Super Bowl and Odom Beckham and, a recommendation that he was given about journaling and how that helped him.
You're sure. Now it's a good time.
And I remember on Super Bowl Sunday, and, they were interviewing him and asked him, so how did you prepare over the last 2 weeks for this? And he says, well, a friend told me to write down my thoughts, what I was thinking, each day. So each day over the past 2 weeks leading up to Super Bowl, he was writing things down. And what he said on that Sunday, that he planned to go and read over those notes and is final little vavoom to go into going to the Super Bowl. And immediately I identified that. I knew that was journaling is what he was doing, writing down those notes. But to see that in the sports world on a Super Bowl level, it's a strategy that's effective across the board, and winners, achievers, everybody needs it. And when I saw him, he was the first touchdown for his team. And I know that his mind, whatever was clear. After that, there was some injury and he was away from the team on the second half. But he walked into that with a clear mindset after 2 weeks of journaling and prep.
And we might not hear about it, but many CEOs, many famous people keep a journal, or maybe in some cases it's called a diary.
Yes.
Many people do that, and it's a release for them. It's a focus for them. It's inspiration for them. Absolutely.
Reduces anxiety, increases the serotonin, that good feeling, and especially when can start anyway. They might just want to start by just even listing, what are 5 good things that happened to me today? What are 3 things I'm grateful for in my life, in my career? As I even did my research and work for this, I got to see the other side of lawyers and what they work, and the work that they put in, and their studies, and just the emotional intelligence and the need for that, and their work and communication skills. So journaling changes our lives. It definitely impacts our mood. And when you write out, if something is stressing them or if there's a difficult pattern, they will begin to see the pattern on paper. Then they will be able to know what help to seek, whether a book can coach them in another direction or give them the help they need, whether to pursue professional help on something, speak something over with a colleague. But journaling changes our life, and that is the critical thing. And in this one, you're learning strategies of, or just developing great habits.
And if they had a very stressful day, is writing down what was stressful that day and the toll it took on them, is that a good release to let it out, to put pen to paper? Absolutely.
That's where the reduction of anxiety comes in, because then now it's out of the body. When it's inside your body, your mind keeps mulling it over. Then cortisol is all over the body, anxiety and the stress hormones, cortisol and norepinephrine, and all those just are running through the body. When you write it out, it's not that the problem is gone, but it's not in your head, or it's lessened. And then you keep writing, because they can also draw like a web or even a word web, or however they might even a picture of it. But whatever they might want to do, that gets it out and then gives you, they're already bright with their work and their study. So then as a professional, they will begin to look at it.
And then once you've put it onto pen to paper, then ways to resolve it, ways to move beyond it might flow, because they've been blocked because you had this bottled up in you.
Exactly. Something becomes clearer. That is exactly what happens.
And that's the next point I wanted to ask you about. So a lawyer is thinking of ideas and themes for a legal matter. Maybe it's a brief, maybe it's a trial strategy, maybe it's a conversation or meeting they have to have. If they put their ideas down, that may lead to the flow of even better ideas, and they can revisit that the next day to see if they have further issues or ideas on resolving those ideas, those problems.
That's a huge point, yes. When they do that, they begin to clear the mind. So then it gives more space now for more ideas to come in. Also, when it's on paper, they will begin to see two things might be able to be combined. They might be able to see the pros and cons of something. They might be able to come up with, let's say, synonym or similar ideas, or then, opposite ideas. And then, so it definitely is going to lead to progress.
It helps their thought process along. They can put down alternatives, the best case scenario, the worst case scenario. Once they have that out there, they may get a further brainstorm about an idea. And I just want to remind our listeners, we're talking with Sharon Wallen. She's a certified teacher, and she's also the author of the book Grateful Reflections Journal. And she's been telling us why journal is so important to lawyers and everyone else out there. It can lead to stress reduction and also brainstorming and doing better at your job. And you're listening to her here on Law You Should Know on 90.3 WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College in Garden City, New York. And if you missed any portion of this program or you want to tell someone else about it, just go to nccradio.org for the podcast, and many other law-related podcasts are available there as well. Sharon, so you also mentioned that journaling you can include self-affirmations in a journal and reflections. So what do you mean by those ideas?
Great. Or self-talk is important. And sometimes we get up, and it depends on what might be happening in the family, what might be happening in the news. And we might just not be feeling well. But your self-talk is absolutely part of self-care. And so in Grateful Reflection Journal, I have 3 different ways for the writer to write affirmations. I am, I have, and I. And they're open-ended, so they can just fill them with whatever is true about them. To start a day going out and being able just to face whatever. It might be, let's say, even if there is a case that somehow, whether the opposing lawyer is quite intimidating or something. Not that you want to say, I'm afraid of so-and-so. But even if that is so, and you write that, then you can say, but I'm prepared, and you can list the 3 or 4 things that you are prepared, and I'm willing to face this. But my client believes in me, and we're going to go and give it our best. And these are just strategies of what, there's Dr. Fogg of Stanford University, he was talking about little steps. He talks about little steps that make for positive peace. And when you looked at those little steps, there were steps of affirmation, steps of gratitude writing, and steps of goal setting. Those are the 3 of the habits that are in Grateful Reflections Journal.
And those are 3 things that we can do with our journal, is to include all 3.
Absolutely. And those are guided and in this particular in mind, but he talked, and that's positive. That's a study out of positive psychology.
Okay.
And called Positive Peace. And when I realized that those were steps, strategies, and they're all here included in Grateful Reflections Journal. And
can you explain to us for a moment how increasing positivity can help a lawyer or another person get a handle or take control of their day?
Absolutely. There is a lot of work that is showing the importance for just what is known as emotional intelligence. And that is just being aware of my own emotions and being aware also of the emotions of others, being self-aware and self-managing. So that is why with those strategies, they are going to be growing emotional intelligence. And then let's say with the work with a colleague or even with a boss, because they're talking about different firms now and companies, how they're growing and they're very large. And then that's also becoming a challenge for communication and feeling, as though they're seen. Well, these are strategies that will help them probably to be able to communicate. I'm talking like the millennials now, to be able to communicate their needs and the need to be recognized, to feel validated. And all these have to do with expressing those emotions and through those softer skills, emotional intelligence.
And how can a workplace, in a tough culture like a law firm or some other business, how can the employer, the boss, improve the emotional intelligence in the workplace?
Great.
So their employees are a little happier.
Yes, that there is a great work, Ken, that's done by Marjorie Schultz and Zedeck. And it's 26 lawyering effectiveness factors. And all these have to do with listening skills, speaking, questioning and interviewing, negotiation skills, strategic planning. And then it talks about, they bring that to law school? Did they increase in the fall, or do they need to work on those strategies? What they're looking at is trying to build, because just as you said, it's missing in the law firms and the companies. However, they are saying that just as doctors as a profession used to have that, where didn't have that emotional intelligence part, but they built it into their instruction in university, where they're learning strategies and skills to communicate with the patient. And so that has become lessened as a problem for doctors. And so they're suggesting that begin to teach the lawyers when they're in college, when they're in university, begin to teach them these skills and these strategies, 26 lawyering effectiveness factors. That's a great one for, I would suggest.
Can you give us a few examples of them?
Yes. There's some of creativity, innovation, and then they spell them out. They think outside the box and develop innovative approach and solutions. Practical judgment. They determine effective and realistic approach to problems. They write clearly, efficiently, and persuasively. They question and interview, obtain needed information from others to pursue the issue or the case. Strategic planning, plans and strategizes to address present and future issues and goals. Organize in managing their work. Generates well-organized methods and work products. Networking and business development. Develops productive business relationships. There we go. And helps meet the unit's financial goals. Self-development attends to and initiates self-development.
So these all sound like things that lawyers and other professionals should be doing to grow in a positive way.
Yes.
What are some of the other things that you cover in your book?
Goal setting is important. That one leads to productivity. So that's there. Then there's that overall summary at the end of every day. What's my overall review? And just that cognitive strategy summarizes the day.
And I think you said, I'm sorry, go ahead.
There's a vision board in the beginning where they can use either words or pictures to know, what do I want from this process when I'm done? What's my vision for myself? Where do I want to go? And then there are 5 cycles of 21 days, and it's based on research. Dr. Carolyn Leaf's work, Switch on Your Brain, and she talks about just to create a new habit, it takes 21 days of just continuous repetition. And let's say if there are even negative memories from childhood or just even a case or something in a day's work that, or just even driving in traffic and something I don't want to remember all the time. It's going to take those 21, the repetition, to break it. And then you want to replace it with a new thought that you want to come in.
So in your journal, is it okay to put down both positive and negative things? If you were stuck in traffic for 2 hours, if you had to wait in court for 3 hours, if someone was late to an appointment, you can put that all down, get it out of your system. But try to balance it out with some positive things or a way of preventing those problems next time.
Yes. It gives you a way to look at it, but it releases you. It's a right and left brain activity. It's the writing is, right, and then having it on paper. So it gets it out of the body. You're able to handle it, what they call in journal language, what they call you're handling it, because now you can look at it. It's out of my head and stop stressing me. And I can find a way to probably just even make a phone call, discuss it with a friend or with a family member, trust, And also what journaling does, Ken, is it's what they call mindfulness. When I'm writing in it, it quiets my mind also to reflect on what I'm doing. So that mindfulness is also an important strategy of self-care. Being in the moment, breathing in and out, calming myself. And I heard that also that great show that you did with Michelle Willett, I think, a few sessions before I listened to that one where she was giving all those little strategies on how to immediately just de-stress or get into the moment. And journaling is one of those. When you're writing in the journal, it's a mindfulness moment, calms you. You do walk away feeling as though I did something good for myself just to write that out.
And you got it out of your system, and it might lead to some positive solutions to your problem, or at least small steps to take you slowly but surely to those solutions. I just want to remind our listeners that you're listening to Sharon Wallen, and she's the author of the Grateful Reflections Journal. And if you missed any portion of her talk, you can go to the podcast for WHPC and Law You Should Know at nccradio.org. Where is your book available?
This is at Amazon.com. Barnes & Noble also has it. And but Amazon.com for sure. And it's a win-win situation for these lawyers who do so much and care so much, whether they're at the beginning of their career, the middle of it, or at the end, mentoring someone else.
And you can put down your observations, your feelings, your strategy about life, about your cases, about how that day went. You just get it out of your system.
Yes, and what I found, the way this one is organized with this 21 days, then they get to reflect on that, plan for the next set, write another 21 days. When they're done with one journal, they are going to have a glimpse, because that's what I'm beginning to see with myself. I've done two, but what I'm able to see is like a springboard for my next. And that is not something I expected. So that is huge. It's like a charting your course. And I find that to be very advantageous.
And just tell us your website, and if you have any information about journaling and the benefits of journaling on your website.
Yes, it's solaceplace.org, SOLACEPLACE.org. And then they can, just whatever information is there, and also ways that I have used the strategies. And also they will be able to see some of my successes over my career. 32 years work with children, brain-friendly strategies, and mental wellness work with elementary children, and the success.
And this might be a good book to give your friends or relatives, or for an employer to give their employees, or for you to give your friends or colleagues.
Yes. And what I'm also hearing, what I was recommended to me recently, is even even little group work, sitting in and working it through just as you said, as a resource for reflection and work together in groups. Yes.
Okay. I'd like to thank Sharon Wallen for being our guest on Law You Should Know and talk about journaling for lawyers. If you missed any portion of the program, you can go to nccradio.org for a podcast. And please join us next week at this same time at 90.3 WHPC in Garden City, New York, for another program on Law You Should Know.